Joel Embiid. What to make of Joel Embiid's lackluster Olympic debut?
You are Locked On 76ers, your daily Philadelphia 76ers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On 76ers your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Hello, my name is Keith Pompey, and this is my right-hand man, John Mitchell, and we are the co-hosts of Locked On 76ers. We're going to talk about Joel Embiid today. We're going to dissect his performance. It was a bad performance by Embiid standards. He's also being trolled all over social media, everywhere. The fans were booing him the whole nine. So we'll dissect that. And secondly, we'll talk about moving forward. How is that going to impact? Joel looks like he's out of shape. Is this a concern, the way he's playing? Is it, or is he just not being utilized the right way? So on today's episode, we'll talk about all those things. But John, Embiid, man, it was like initially early on, they were trying to go to him in the game. I think Embiid finished with 2 points. He was like 2 for 5 shoot. He missed 3 foul shots. He had 3 fouls. He didn't play a lot. But initially, they tried to go to him early, and it was a mistake. Serbia jumped out to an 8-2 run. Next thing you know, they called a quick timeout and took Embiid out of there. And it was a blowout win, but he had a minus. At one point, they were getting destroyed with him on the floor. It looked like Nikola Jokic. Like normally when they play head-to-head, Embiid typically gets the best of them. Mm-hmm. But on this night, the Joker was getting the best of Embiid. I mean, Joel did not look like his normal self, just like he hasn't looked like his normal self for most of these games. I mean, to me, it was an extremely disappointing performance.
Yeah, Keith. He, I think that, the fact that if you look at all the starters, 27 minutes for LeBron, 26 for Book, Drew 24 minutes, Stephen Curry 21, Joel 11. I think it's kind of clear that Joel didn't show up for the Olympic training camp in the very best of shape. And part of it is for him missing those for missing all of his free throws. That's kind of an indicator of his fatigue because he makes those free throws. But he didn't look good yesterday. He looked sluggish. He's looked sluggish, and my whole thing was with him going to personally, being selfish. I think this U.S. team. I mean, they played a great game. Other than Joel's the only one in the starting lineup who didn't hit double figures. But the team looks good. LeBron looks like he's 29. Not 39. Kevin Durant looked really good, but Joel, yeah, he looks sluggish, man. You wanted him to, show up at the Olympics in condition, and he doesn't look like he's in condition to play the way this team wants to play now. They're obviously, and yesterday was one of those teams that they wanted him for a big body against the Joker, and they really didn't necessarily need him. Bam stepped in, played well. AD stepped in. They did what those guys supposed to. I mean, nobody would. They had scoring from other places. The guards look good. But yeah, it just seems like he's playing behind. He's playing at a slower pace than his teammates when he's on the floor. And again, I was looking at the Olympics for him, again, selfishly. I wanted him to say, okay, well, the Olympics will force him to get in shape in midsummer, as opposed to playing himself in shape, which is what he's done on many occasions and at the start of many seasons. But yeah, you want to see him look better than he did. I mean, towards the end of some of those preliminary games, he was starting to look better. But yeah, he went back to the early stages of the prelims yesterday and didn't look good at all. And that's why I only played 11 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, it got to a point where, like, early on, he was a liability out there. Like, it was when he was out there, they were going. I mean, Serbia was going to work on him, and then when he left the floor, it was like the Sixers looked electric. They were going on runs.
You mean the dream team?
Huh? Or the dream team. I'm talking about. Yeah, no, not the. Yeah, I come saying the Sixers.
I know what you mean.
Or not even. I don't even gonna call them the dream team because but the USA team, they were just going on.
Yeah.
It was just, and then there were certain things where, again, granted, there could have been more opportunity. There were times when Joel would set a screen, and like if he was playing for the Sixers, that the guy would get him the ball back, but instead they would keep the ball or pass it another way. So there are times where you look at it like he could have been a little bit more involved. But there were times when they tried to give him the ball in the high post, at least one play, and he turned the ball over. And then next thing you know, he's looking towards the bench, and they just subbed him out. You know, and then there was times where Nikola Jokic was doing spin moves on him and it was like he was baking them. And I was like, yo, I'm not used to seeing this when it comes down. Now, a lot of people talk about he doesn't play when they play each other, but I have never seen the Joker just get whatever he wanted against Embiid. Right. It was like, it was a total mismatch, man, out there. And, I get it. There are certain fans people are extremely critical of Embiid right now. But then there are certain fans who are doing what they do, take up for him. That's their guy. And, but it was a bad look, bro. I'm just here to tell you, it was a bad look. I mean, it was a bad look. He didn't look good. I mean, I hope that he can redeem himself in their next games because it looks like he's just not a good fit for what they need for this team thus far.
Yeah, and again, he's playing behind those guys. He's playing slower, and it looks like the knocks that there have been against him in Philadelphia are starting to be. Like if you go out on online, everybody's talking about he doesn't look like he's in shape. He doesn't look like he's ready. But what they're doing now is they're echoing what you hear a lot of critical fans and not the sycophantic fans of the team say. It's like, hey, he doesn't look like he's in shape. Now, granted, it's early, and Grant Hill.
Early, come on, James. Stop. I mean, I guess called you James on that one, John. They played how many games, bro? They had 5 tune-up games, dude. They've been in Vegas all month. I mean, they've been together since the beginning of the month.
Man, I gotta give him a pass. I gotta give him a pass because some fans out there gonna say if you're critical of Joel, So I'm here's what I'm going to say.
I can't say it's early.
To me, it's early in the tournament. It's early in the tournament. But if you look at what's being said out there, people are saying he looks like he's out of shape. I mean, hey man, what have I been saying? The magic number for him is a real 280.
Okay, but let me ask you this. I don't mean to cut you off, but we got to be real. It was early in the tournament for him, right?
Mm-hmm.
So does that apply to KD?
Oh, that's a good question. That's a good point. Okay, that's a very good point. I can't really push back on that. KD came out, but if you do look at this team, Joel's lumbering style of play, and he is a lumberer, as skilled as he is, he lumbers. It just doesn't really fit this roster. Grant Hill pursued him, but his style of play, and they wanted him, man. His style of play just doesn't fit this roster. They try to get up and get some tempo, and Joel's not giving it to him. So we give and I'm his biggest critic, but I'm gonna give him this 1 game pass. I'm gonna say he's gonna come back and he's gonna redeem himself because they're gonna have some other. I mean, I think specifically he's here to play against teams with larger players. And last night against the Joker, and he's going to have the French team coming up. So we'll see. But right now, there are some questions. But right now, and we can talk about that a little bit more because that seems to be what everybody is talking about: is Joel Embiid, is he in shape or not? But right now, I want to talk to you about Gametime. Gametime is an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, and it makes getting tickets faster and easier. Prices on the Gametime app actually go down the closer it gets to the first pitch. You can get out there at Citizen Bank Park and make sure if you do, get out there with Gametime. With killer last minute deals, all in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee, Gametime takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. So you can use the app to pick up any specific game or matchup you'd like to. And it's also for concerts. You can get flash deals. You can save even more with exclusive in-app deals on select seats ahead of the game or event. You can get zone deals. You can save even more when you choose a section and let Gametime choose the seats for you. So take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Listen, are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day long? You have to turn down the volume with all that shouting? Well, make the switch to Locked On Sports today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every single day.
Do it today, people. Definitely do it today. Here's my thing, John. We talk about the Joel thing, and you say he wasn't in shape. I say, either he's not in shape or either he's just still injured, right?
Let's hope it's the
Because
former, not the latter.
let's hope it's the former. But my thing is, he should have been in better shape, in my opinion. I feel like that his being in this situation, people should have known that if it could have had a better idea if his style of play was going to fit or not. But the problem is, like you said, some of the criticisms that he received locally, and then by certain people who covered the team nationally, like a little like closer than most like other people in the Atlantic division, like that, right?
Right.
It's starting to be getting widespread.
Yeah.
To a point that where I think this could hinder him, like it's hindering his reputation.
Yeah.
Like right now, what people are looking at is like they're saying, and this isn't me saying this is what I'm reading and this is what I'm listening to, and the whole nine is, what can he do when he's not force fed the ball? They're saying it. And also they're looking at it like, yo, the NBA bailed him out with all these fouls and all this other stuff. And the problem is, man, it's kind of like he talks about being the most hated guy out there. I don't think it helped Embiid. I don't think it helped him by saying what he said about it. LeBron, right now, I don't know. Again, he said what he said. I don't think it helps by what he said about being the GOAT,
Yeah.
what he said about
It's
averaging 50 points if
blaming stuff on
you a
injury,
single team, huh?
blaming things on his
But
injuries.
yeah, all that because right now you look at it and he's regarded as a top 5 player.
Yeah.
And typically a top 5 player in the NBA is supposed to dominate the way that LeBron did, the
Yeah.
way that KD did, all these guys, right? Um, he just didn't do it, man. And right
No.
now, I think like we talk about legacy, unless he has bounced back and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
this could have an impact on him, man. The way he's viewed nationally about
Yeah.
everybody, because you already got people disliking him, right? And saying he's always flying, trying to get fouls and all this.
Yeah.
And dude, like, you gotta bounce back. And like, my thing is, let's keep it real. There's only certain teams that you really want to see him against. Like when they play Puerto Rico, he gonna dominate those dudes. When
Yeah.
they Sudan, he should probably dominate them again. You know what I mean? Because he's so much bigger than them.
Right.
But there's only certain teams out there where they match up with them. So,
Right.
and that was one of them, and it just didn't work out, in my opinion. It just didn't look good.
Yeah. Yeah. It's. I mean, it's interesting. He did turn himself into a North Star with his comments. Like you said about LeBron, about being a GOAT, about his injuries. And again, injuries happen. You can't. Unfortunately, that's just part of the game. But it's like everything he talked about. Some of the things that people who watch him closely have complained about. Joel is hurt all the time. But and then when he said, I'm a villain. I like being a villain. Well, you don't vilify yourself with bad play. It's time for him to, he's going to need to have some good games because eventually they're going to look at him and say, well, yeah, he's out here. So, set these screens, set these picks, and physically get in the way. But it doesn't look like he's a guy who, they're going to want to throw him the ball in the paint at some point. And when he gets those opportunities, he's going to have to take advantage of the things that he really doesn't take advantage of, like many of us feel he should during the regular season. But again, it's people are going to look at him. The consensus is that Joel showed up for the Olympics out of shape. That appears to be the consensus, and that's what people have been saying about Joel with the NBA regular season. He shows up and he plays himself into shape. But like you said, it's not a good look when coach can only give you 11 minutes and everybody else is getting 20, 23 minutes in the starting lineup. It's not a good look. I mean, there was a Tatum controversy, but that's going to rectify itself. Tatum's got a championship ring sitting on his finger at the end of this just concluded season. Joel doesn't have a past the second round ring on his finger yet. So he's going to be. He has become a North Star for criticism, and a lot of it is of his own doing.
And the problem is, like, they tweeted out this morning that the coach said that Jason Tatum is going to play against the next game. So then people are saying, well, the question is, well, who sits? Right? So then you look at it and you say to yourself, well, is it going to be Booker? Because let's face it, Booker has been starting. Durant came off the bench, and that took Tatum's minutes, right? Mm-hmm. So now you say, well, we got to play Tatum. So if we bench Booker, then people are going to say the only reason why they didn't bench Embiid is because they feel like he got a promise, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, that's what they're saying. Like, why is he playing or why is he starting? Because they feel like he got a promise. But no matter what, and to be honest with you, I don't think that has anything to do with it. But what I'm saying is, because that's a different position. But what I'm saying is, when you play as poorly as he's playing, mm-hmm. and the stuff like that happens, people always going to feel like there's an ulterior motive for why you playing. Because some of the American people, a lot of the American people, don't think that he deserves to have these minutes that he's getting right now, because there is a major difference when Bam is out there and Anthony Davis is out there, and they've been going on mega runs when Embiid goes to the bench. You know what I mean? But we'll talk about, do we feel like if this is a cause for concern, his play for the Sixers moving forward, when we get right back. Now, Mitch, here's my thing. I don't like what I'm seeing, right? Because, and this is the reason why I don't like what I'm seeing, because, you're going out there and you're getting Paul George, you're bringing him in here. And the goal is like that you're going to get Paul George's best version. A guy who can score points, a guy who can do this and do that. And the hope is that Embiid is going to be able to sacrifice certain things. Now, who knows? Maybe you're right. Maybe he's just out of shape.
That's the hope.
That's the hope. But he looks a step slow. He's relying heavily on trying to get to the foul line. When he's getting to the foul line, he went 0 for 3 this last game. My thing is, in order for the Sixers to be extremely successful, you can't afford to have Paul George just standing around watching Embiid. You got to keep him involved. And my thing is, if this is how Embiid's going to play when he's not the focal point, then what he's going to do is he's going to start saying, nah, I got to get mine. I got to be involved. I'm telling you, I've never seen Joker do a spin move and get over on him like that before.
That's not really part of his repertoire against that.
Nah, dude. It was just like, it was, I mean, it was too easy. And we were seeing a lot of other things. So let's face it, man. Embiid they have to play a more wide open, but Embiid essentially has to be that rim protector. He has to be on top of his game. And I'm telling you, I haven't seen Embiid play that poorly since then. And what it does, it makes me wonder is, because now he's saying he wasn't 100% when he came back. Is he 100% now? That brace looks big. Something is if it ain't being out of shape, it's something that's hindering him from playing at the level that he normally does. And we're talking about going into an 82-game season, and then they hopefully to have a long playoff run, and he looks bad already. I don't know, Mitch. I have a little bit of concerns with that.
Yeah, I had some concern. It's still mild, My biggest concern would be that the knee is not completely healed, even though he came off of that playoff series average like 33 or 34 points per game on one leg. But you want that, when you bring Paul George into the mix, and Maxey wins the most improved player, and you put together a team that, just over the weekend, Daryl Morey says, look, the goal isn't the second round. The goal is to take the title from the Celtics. And when you look at, the way Joel looks, you're hoping that, we wanted him. We all targeted the Olympics as something he would get in shape for. So apparently it looks like he hasn't done that. So he's going to have a month off at the conclusion of the Olympics to prepare for the regular season. And you hope he uses that time in between to get himself really in shape. If his knee is bothering him, you want, that becomes kind of like a double-edged sword, because you're trying to get yourself in shape, but you got a knee you're concerned about. So, you're hoping that the knee is okay. But, one thing that might create, and this is kind of, if he doesn't show up ready to go, maybe early on in the season, that creates opportunities for Paul George to ingratiate himself into the offense even more and become, he'll recognize I've got to step up because Joel's not up to speed, and I've got to step out here and so maybe he gets comfortable quicker in the offense because he's not in shape. Of course, that's like the chicken out version. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it should be no excuses. Like after this, like you said, after this, he's already been playing up and down the court. Now, unless the knee is really bothering him, he has no excuse of not coming in
Right.
training camp in shape. None.
Right.
None whatsoever. I mean, none.
And the one thing you don't want to be talking about is using a poor performance in the Olympics where you're representing the United States as motivation because I wasn't ready to represent my country.
Yeah, I just know that he's getting destroyed nationally.
He's invited that stuff, Keith.
He invited it.
He invited that stuff.
Yeah, he's getting destroyed. But look, y'all, we want to thank y'all for listening and this and that. But before we go, we want to talk about Locked On national YouTube channel. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV and the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories with the local experts of Locked On Plus, our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today, now available on the free Fire TV channels app. So for Mitch, this is Keith. We want to thank y'all for listening, and we want y'all to have a blessed day and the start of a blessed week. Peace.
Have a great day.